Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. Today we're going to do a quick market update video, keeping this one short and sweet. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Okay, so I just did a video yesterday on some high time frame bot strategies, so I won't really go over those at the moment, but one of those I covered was the one you're seeing on the chart right now. And that one put me in a long down here, right? So down at 26,300, that one's currently in a long trade. And then we had this move up to the trend line, essentially. We got rejected, but you see these green dots here. So there's actually, by default, these are meant to be red and green. They're actually inverse, but I actually counter trade these. So I've turned these into green and red. So these are use CBD, and these are the CBD bubbles. See here, this is the Leviathan liquidation bands. So I'm using the CBD bubbles for this. And if we have a quick look at the indicator, CBD bubbles is part of the script that plots circles that are based off their imitation of cumulative volume delta. The CBD bubbles will appear by as seller volume is increased. The larger the bubble, the more buying or selling at the candle. So here you go, you can just have a look there what that is, and it says here bias potential reversal to the downside. So that's why I've actually, interestingly enough, I didn't even read this before, but you can see that, you know, he says buy, so potential to the downside. So there you go. And because I'm counter trading these, I've changed the color so that way, you know, when I see green, I'm like, all right, I think I might buy and counter trade what price is doing at this point, because how often does Bitcoin go against trader sentiment and just basically trap people in positions, put them underwater, and then force them either close or be subjected to liquidity grabs. So you can see the indicator actually, and as I mentioned in my last video, so you can check that one out in the link above. In that video, I mentioned that I took profit here, right? So why did I take profit there? Well, we've got here the 20-week moving average band. This is actually a weekly plot that I've actually plotted on the 12-hour. This band is incredibly important for Bitcoin. This is the band that I entered the short on for Bitcoin. That short is still in profit. It will be underwater at around 27,800, which is the average open position for that trade. But in the short term, I have got this long position in on Bitcoin. So yeah, so I took the long here after seeing the CBD bubbles, right? And a recent rejection off this major support. Took the long here, closed a lot of profit here within this band here. This is a major resistance band. So this is past support. So you see how it's green here. Past support, now it's resistance, so that's why it's transitioned to red. Can't quite get the boxes to line up, so anyway, so yeah, so we're actually coming right into that band right now. So yeah, I've got my long in down here, and I was quite surprised we were able to break this. So we've basically broken this trend line. You can see we rejected pretty hard off there. You know, we have a rejection there, rejection there. We got two rejections there on 12-hour candles, and that's where it starts. So we've actually broken out of that trend line. However, the major resistances above, I think, are going to be quite tough to get through. So we've got this 618, which is measured from this entire expansive move. So this Fibonacci is measured from the bottom here to the top here. So these are the fib levels that we're working with. So we have the 618, right? We also have this as past resistance and is now current resistance once again. And then we've got the 20-week moving average band. So if we can clear those levels, then I think that the next stop would probably be something in the order of 28,726. We may get up even higher, but I still feel like any relief rally that we get from here, I think will be maybe just a lower high. So let's just get our horizontals all mapped out so we can see. And so in the short term, I'm relatively bullish on Bitcoin. And if we can get up even higher, then I'm kind of happy because I can layer into my shorts even more. In terms of invalidation on those, well, invalidation for me will be if I get a switch on the weekly BB trend trader. So if I get a buy signal here, then yeah, I'll flip my bias back to bullish again and consider this as a fake out. But this will not flip back to bullish, I don't believe, until it closes some high volume candles above the support band or resistance band here. So if we do get up to, say, you know, 30,000 or something like that, then it might flip. So we'll have to see how that plays out, and then that will invalidate my shorts, and then I will look to re-enter in the band once again, essentially. So short from here, and then as I've covered in last videos, and then basically if we do get a breakout and a retest to move up to the 33,000 level, then there hopefully will be a retest, and then I'll probably have stops out over here. So just in case, because I don't want things to rip and leave me behind essentially in an underwater short. But so yeah, just thought I'd cover that quickly. So this short is now covered, which is cool. Anyway, so I just thought I'd cover that. So when I made that video, we were down here at 26,300 essentially when I recorded that. Saw the CB bubbles, so I was pretty happy to enter that position. We actually do have red though on the CVI. So when you see red down here, and the way I've got this sort of configured is that when it's green, I look to enter more heavier on longs, and when it's red, I enter heavier on shorts. So as you can see, when it was red up here, I was entering pretty heavy in shorts, and that was my average open there. And it was green down here, and I was entering pretty heavy in longs down here. So again, we had red there, so I entered pretty heavy short there, so on and so forth. I think you get the idea. So in the short term, I think we could still get a decent little push on Bitcoin. I don't know what the upside is. I think there's not a lot of liquidity, not a lot of, like, the order books are quite thin at the moment, right? So I do feel like rejections from this area are quite viable and highly probable. So, you know, what looks like a breakout right now might just look like a rejection soon. So if we get like a red day or something like that and we just come back down below this line, well then yeah, we've officially rejected, and it's already starting to come down right now anyway. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but this long still looks okay. And we've just got so many potential rejection points above. We rejected from this horizontal here, and then we've got the band here to contend with. So it's quite a bit. And then we've got, this is underside resistance right here. And at the top here, we have a SR zone. So there'll be a zone right here. So there's just a lot of levels to contend with above. And in terms of levels below, all we have is this support here, essentially. So we've got a lot to deal with above and not a lot to deal with below. However, with the funding rate being negative at the moment, means people are actually shorting this. There is a chance we might get a quick squeeze up to take out these levels. We're actually right into a key high value node, HVN, on the volume profile. So this is the volume profile here is how much volume took place at a given price point. So this is actually a resistance right now that we're hitting on the volume profile. Essentially, most of the volume has taken place at this price level here, but we do have a spike here, which is a high volume node. And then we got some other ones above, but it's pretty thin above, at least within this range. So if we expand out, we'll see where most of the volume took place over here at just under 30,000. So this will be a major resistance as well. With the bearish sentiment, there's a good chance that these new shorts might get squeezed out of their positions, and that's where we will get that little push to the upside. And then we start to deal with some of those resistances that I just spoke about. So that's basically what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. Short-term bullish, however, we have quite a few resistances above, and thin order books mean that manipulation is a lot easier. Doesn't require as much money to move markets when the order books are quite thin. So market makers will most likely run the price up to stop out and liquidate the new short positions. And then once that's all dried up, or that liquidity is all dried up, then they'll probably just run the price back down again. But we'll have to see how this plays out. Next, I wanted to cover the ARB Long. So I posted this one on Twitter or X, and this one I opened up a long down here. And that's currently up about 6% roughly. So that's come right into the 1.272 Fibonacci extension. So the reason why I'm having to use extensions at this point with Arbitrum is because we don't have enough data to work with. So this is your standard Fibonacci measured from opening here to up there. So this Fib extension was my attempt to see where the floor could possibly be. So this is the 1.618, which is a key Fibonacci extension. You can see we came right into that zone and then we bounced off it. So when I posted on X and I said that, yes, this long is viable, that was mainly because we got a bounce off the 1.618 extension, and then we got a long signal. And you know, this short was pretty nice. So yeah, this one I've got open on drift and it's currently up, which is pretty nice. So yeah, that one's sitting at the moment in a pretty good spot, but we'll have to see how this one plays out. But either way, that one looks like it's doing well. I showed the settings on X, so if you want to see those settings, there's a link in the description below to my Twitter profile, Twitter X, whatever. And you can check it out there, the settings for it. So let's just move on to the next one. So comp, this is insane, this move. So I did cover this one in the BB swing strategy video. So you can check that out if you want the settings for this. This one's long average open is down here. So this is currently up about 24% roughly. Maybe it's down a little bit actually, 22%, 21%. So yeah, this one's looking pretty nice right now. And like, what more could I say? This one has a 100% win rate for this year. As I also mentioned in my post on X, this one's looking pretty good at this point, in a nice spot down here at 39.8. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this one plays out. I think that upside, you know, will be capped most likely, unless we do enter a proper bullish phase, which I'm not so sure about, but you know, there is a chance that we do. I think that the next major resistance will be up here at 56. So that will be a spot to take profit. Probably a little bit below there is probably smarter because we might not even get up there, but that's where I plan to take profit. This one for me is up about 726%, which is absolutely insane. So anyway, we'll have to see how that one goes. Next, we have Cardano. So Cardano, I also covered on the last video, and I just posted this on X as well. So I just thought I'd cover this one now. So the short for Cardano was average open was up here. So let's have a quick look at what that one was. That was a 27.6, not including leverage, 21.6% profit. This one's entered a long now. So we have a look at this trend line here. So now we can see that that's actually officially a breakout. So whenever we break out of these trend lines, generally we get a retest. So this is the back test level. So I've entered part of my long here. So I've closed the short, entered part of my long here, and I'm actually lettering down to the open of this candle here, which actually pulls it back down below the diagonal trend line. But anyway, I've got a few orders in. So one here, one there. Invalidation for this one, I would say, is down here. So down below this wick, because we actually do have a higher low here, and we've got this green line here, which is a support, which goes all the way back to here. So you can see acted as support here. We've got these wicks, which are bottom tails sort of thing. These are like kind of reversal tails that show that there's a lot of buying stepping in here. This massive wick here, essentially, which was part of this strong horizontal support as well, which we can now draw out as a resistance, which we're right at, essentially. So we'll just keep this over here for now, but this one is in a long, so just thought I would mention that. Again, the win rate on this one is 82%, so yeah, we'll have to see if this one is a win as well, or if this just kind of is a bit of a flop, but we'll have to see. Last long was not amazing. It was okay, as long as you took support at the strong horizontal resistance and locked in some profit up here, because otherwise signal to signal for this Cardano trade was about 5%, which is negligible, but it's still not too bad. So anyway, this one's in a long. Just thought I'd bring that one up because that one only just activated today. Next one I want to quickly cover is AGLD. This one is crazy. So this was for me was up like 1900% or something, and just out of control. And so actually the actual percent from the long that I posted was about 58%, but it's actually been rejected majorly here. So I actually took profit here, and I just managed to tag it. So I got pretty lucky that it managed to take some profit here, but I also had a profit point in here as well. So at the top of these daily candle closes, I had a profit point there. So I took profit there and took profit there. And this line here, the way I found that is using the SR zones. So if you have a look back here, essentially you can see this SR zone up here. I drew the line all the way over here, but anyway, and then we have more resistance above and underside resistance right here as well. So I just figured I would take it on the sort of premature side, and you can see there is an SR zone here as well. You can see this line here, which is this wick. So this is a weekly, I believe, a weekly SR zone. Yeah, here you go, weekly resistance. So we came straight into that level and rejected. So basically, I never put my TPs right on the line. I put them just a little bit shy, and that's because, you know, so many times I've put my orders in like just the wrong place, you know, off by 0.1%, and it doesn't take the profit. So I actually front run those levels just a little bit because other people do as well. So often with these key levels, it doesn't get a chance to even get into them. It usually stops a little bit short because everyone is just in front of them. So front running those levels. So the AGLD still locked in a fair bit of profit on this one. Just really, really nice. And I explained this one in that BB Trend Trader video as well. So I won't go into too many of the details about the setup for this one, but this rejection is a lower high. So if we do actually reject from here, then, well, that might not look so great, really. So yeah, I feel like we might get a red day today, but we'll definitely have to see how this plays out. Right now it is Asia trading session though, so I don't expect anything too big. That's why I'm recording this video, so I don't have to worry about volatility or anything like that. Having a quick look at the MATIC chart at the moment, and we can see that this has quite a bit of upside if it can break out here. So if this can actually break out here, then I feel like it can probably come to, let's just say the 618 at the very least, which is about 21% worth of price action. And by that time, I would say that this band, the resistance band here, will have come down to maybe meet that level. But we haven't got a signal here yet, so I haven't entered this, but this actually isn't a bad place to open longs if you're feeling bullish. But for me, I'm just going to wait for the signal on this because this one's currently in a short and I'm happy to hold on to that until I get a signal otherwise. So yeah, this one is just on this diagonal resistance right now. So we've got 1 touch, 2 touch, right? So that's not as significant, but yeah, well, you could say that's a third there. But we do have a close sort of putting this candle above, but a bearish daily here would just pull it straight back down anyway. So this might not mean anything. So we'll definitely have to wait for a few days and see how this one plays out. So the last one I wanted to cover was Solana. So I covered this one in that strategy video where I covered the daily BB trend trader videos. And I mentioned that I was going to load up heavier in this long around here at 18.8. And as you can see, we came right into that box, which was the support here, and then we shot off it. So that was perfect. I also mentioned in that video that I did have the long open here at these wicks. So we came down straight into these wicks and then we lost those levels, came into this support here, and then we've sprung out. We're actually in a horizontal resistance right now, but we've broken out of most of these main trend lines essentially. Got a convincing daily candle above, and let's have a look and see where our resistances are. So we've got 20.7 here. We've got probably around 21 actually. And then we've got this horizontal resistance here as well. That long is looking pretty good. I would say if we can actually push back up to this resistance here at like 22 or so, because that would still be a lower high, but it would come to this underside resistance here, then, you know, there's a nice 15% of price action there that we could potentially capture. Or if we reject here, which we're very close to anyway, then we come about 8%, which, you know, is not huge. But again, this one I've got in drift and I'm happy just sitting in this long at the moment, and we'll just have to see how this plays out. But if this takes out this lower high, then we'll have a break of structure. So that will give us more fuel for bullish price action to the upside. So I wanted to keep this video short and sweet, so gonna cap it there. But yeah, as we're seeing a little bit of bullish short-term price action, but overall we're still below the major resistance for Bitcoin. So until we can get a push above, perhaps we temper our expectations and any excitement that might be out there with regards to this, and just consider this to be a relief rally, I suppose. You know, we did get one of these relief rallies in 2019 as well. If we go have a look, back then we actually got a really strong push in October. So this could be our October surprise. I don't know if that's a thing. This could be the equivalent of that, where we basically just come back into this area here where we ranged from June. So this could be our October push back up and then rejection above. So what would that look like if we did this now, essentially? If we did this now, well, actually, this is kind of where we are now. So a little bit of a push above, maybe a weekly rejection next week, then reject and come back down. So what would that look like? That would look like a push to maybe 29K, but I would say, yeah, somewhere around this level, and then a weekly, some sort of topping tail or rejection above, and then coming back down to maybe 22K or something like that. And then if we were to emulate what happened in 2020, not including the pandemic crash, then it would be sort of a lower low taking out this level, and then a push back up to maybe 32K or something like that, because we can see that we actually did do something like that. Although actually, so this wick here took out this wick here, essentially. So that's what I'm seeing here. So actually it's more like a equal top, but we can't really use this period here to work out what's going to happen in the future, because this was a massive outlier with the pandemic crash. So we can't use this sort of verbatim, if you will, but we can definitely, I guess, still reference it. There's a chance that maybe this will be the recession, right? The second scare, if you will. So maybe we come back above the 20-week moving average band, essentially, come back to equal tops. Maybe we come back to this level here, essentially, and then maybe we get that recession scare. So that might be how that plays out. And that might happen just after the election, potentially, the US presidential election. Yeah, so it looks kind of like short-term bullish. There's a lot of resistance above, so we'll definitely have to see how that plays out. But overall, still kind of bearish, I suppose, until I get enough sort of signals and indications to flip my bias, I suppose. I'm still overall pretty bearish, but I'm just trading signals, so I'm actually kind of more so directionally agnostic, if you will, because at this point I've actually got quite a few longs open. So I'd be happy for any short-term bullish price action. Anyway, that's it for the video. If you liked it, then please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And check out my previous video if you want some high win rate bot strategies that basically just trade for you, so you don't have to watch the charts. You can basically just set them up and then periodically check and see how they're going. So it's kind of no fuss approach to being in the market. And that's the previous video, which you'll see on the screen here. So anyway, keep safe out there. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.